Alright, I'm just showing you guys why the light is on the desk like this, because I'm right beside a window. And just as the light changes, so do these patterns on the desk. A couple of times some people try to make remarks like it was demon stuff or something. You guys really, I don't know. You guys are accusers. And Satan, the name Satan, the title Satan, literally means accuser. He's the one that is doing all the accusing. He's the one that was accusing our brethren in heaven, just like it says in Revelation, and then he was eventually cast down. Satan is the true false prophet. Okay, Satan is the one that had the power to go to and fro, up and down, all over the earth, just like we see in the first chapter in Job. This going to and fro, up and down, all over the earth, and even between the other stones of fire, is Satan trying to gather as many of these planets from even other planetary systems to this rebel cause. There are other planets that are in rebellion also, but each one of these planets is equationally sealed. They can deal with each other through the sophistries, but they can no longer corrupt any other new planetary systems into their crime. Okay, but because our planet has already been involved with them, there is some form of communication that does take place between the rebel planets. But they don't have the power to proceed with some sort of invasion from planet to planet because of the sealing. But through the sophistries of these high spirit beings, just like in a prison, you know that the prisoners can pass messages through ingenious techniques, riding them along particular physical mediums, from notes to pieces of string to knotted cords, what have you. Well, just like there's a physical medium of current that goes between the planetary systems itself, by altering the current with conditional changes in it, like small explosions or destructions or collisions, this in a sense, the other planetary systems that are in rebellion can read these stories coming through the energy pattern as messages or notes, just like you would in a prison. So there's so much stuff for me to say here, so I want to talk about something that's going to join up with this here, what we've been looking at. And if you haven't watched this series, you need to watch the one entitled Pole Shift, Checkerboard, and the Royal Ark. And this is going to be more motivation for you guys to watch this series, and so that you can know that these connections here are really real, and it's going to form the big picture in your head. And what I'm going to say, once again, to me is astounding. I don't know what it's going to be for you, but this revelation for me is absolutely jaw-dropping. So let me show you something too here. This is how I hold my camera. What you're looking at is a woodworking clamp, and I put my phone right in between these little cushions here, and I close the clamp up, which allows me to turn the phone right here. Alright, so I don't have to hold the phone and I'm hands-free. This is why I don't show myself, because it's from a small screen, and I'm talking about this very in-depth information. I'm not the information. The information is here in what I'm talking about, so really I'm out the picture. But for those of you who do need to see me, I'm on all types of videos. I got me going through the woods, jumping over creeks. I got me building stuff in my shop. I got me doing things with a penny on a coat hanger. Look, I'm there. You want to see me? I'm right there. It's my same voice. It's my same hand. I can prove it, and it's just as simple as that. So for the subscribers I got that are real, don't fall to these weak little ploys of these people that are so easy to see through. And the stronger my message gets, the stronger the deception against me comes. And the deception against us all comes. I'm not the leader. I'm not the leader. Jesus Christ, the Spirit of the Truth, is the leader. I'm hoping to join with the true flock. The true flock, the true disciples of Jesus Christ in modern times, who are absolutely, completely walking by faith in the two commandments of love your brother as yourself and love God with all your might. I've been experiencing the fruits that comes from that, and I can testify to the miracle is true. Absolutely. How do you think I do what I do? And then we see the other side. This is for some of you guys that might be on the fence with me, and I've even some of my subscribers for a long time. There's some people that for whatever reason are halting between two decisions. They cannot, for whatever, separate what's just simply true with a childlike understanding. These people that are using anger, wrath, and slander and calling people idiots and cussing and just going off, they don't got the Spirit. I don't care what type of knowledge they got that sounds interesting and how they see colors, numbers, or symbols. They're using it all in the shadow way. They're using it to justify their own inconsistencies of truth. They're using it as a medium to express anger, discord, and hatred amongst the peoples of this world with some sort of sinister racism notion that's interlaced within it that many of you can't even see. They're so subtle about it. But they've been telling me secretly through private messages and comments that are coded that I understand. And I don't spend time calling them out by name, and I really never have. I've never called anybody out by name. Even Mr. Illuminati Land, I just simply said he refuses the truth of the scripture, which is provable. And he did, and he still does. And I know what he is. It's up to you guys to figure out what the reality is of this truth. And these people that just want to argue back and forth, bicker, that's the Leviathans. That's them disturbing the waterline. They're going from the good to the bad over and over and over and over again. Nobody can ever learn anything because they're just watching these supposed egos battle it out for some sort of supremacy of truth. The supremacy of truth is love for your brothers, almighty love for God. That's the will of God. So if you're going to fulfill yourself within these people that just want to continually cast stones and supposedly say that these stones are laced with the love of God, wrong. They're not. And Jesus told you in parable once again, he who is without sin, let him cast the first stone. Well, we see these people with sin are casting stones left and right. They're breaking their just simple, true, common sense understanding that Jesus Christ revealed to us, which means they're not walking sincerely on the waterline. They're not trying to fulfill the noble character that Jesus Christ said that we should seek in our material flesh. Instead, they're seeking this vanity and this glory of divinity by using all of this evil act, by trying to corrupt their brothers and sisters so that they can gain an upper hand on them. That's not divine. So if you cannot see who's real by their actions, by their fruits, if you cannot see who's real, then you're blind. And even though you're blind, Jesus Christ said he could make you see. Well, the Spirit of truth, if you just have a few moments with me right now, is also going to make you see. And I'm going to show you what the Spirit of truth has showed me. Now to something that's very interesting. Something incredibly interesting here. And it's up to you guys. You guys got to get off of your high horses or your lazy couches in your mind and realize you got to get busy. I'm one of the ones. I'm not the one. Okay, I'm showing you the info. You got the brain, you got the spirit. Where's your will? Okay, I can supply enough will for me to get up and do this and risk my life, risk my supposed character integrity before these wolves, which is really not a risk for me at all. It's only the wolves themselves that now expose their integrity, expose their character by trying to sneak in the shadow and then lunge out and constantly attack me. For the only thing that I've ever said is that I'm their brother. For the only thing that I've ever said to everyone, all races, all colors, all nationality, even to the wicked, I am your friend. I love all people because I see into the distance, and I know that for my forgiveness to come to the fullness, that I can receive the mercy of God, I have to forgive others. And as I see into the distance, I believe in the promise of Jesus Christ, where he said he's going to make all the crooked straight. So I know that these crooked people now that are dealing treacherously against me, in the future will be made straight. That's where I'm loving them at. That's where I'm loving at. You're a seer, but yet you're not seeing. I'm a seer because I'm currently seeing. I want you to be a seer. I want you to have this miracle of God begin to fulfill itself in your life so that you can be that candle in the darkness when they flip the script. When they clip the switch, you will be that candle. And you will bring many, just as Jesus Christ said, unto glory. With not my truth, with not your truth, but with the truth that is instilled within the creation that we ourselves were created from. So that truth is within us. We come from that truth. We have strove with the promises of that truth to become more and more and more. And the devil himself has sought to impede that progress and begin to get the focus once again on vanity, once again on self, which is the very deception that they fell to. It's all a reflection of each other. All right, here's what we got to know. You have to have watched the series here, as I said, the Pole Shift Royal Arc series. Remember that we're using this checkerboard to talk about the model of the consciousness of the human mind that goes from a material observation to an intellectual understanding. This model of the mind has now been superimposed upon the understanding of the world. Okay? And if you see this now, look at the cross that's going through here at our 23-degree tilt of our axis. Okay? Now, remember this angle right here. Left dark, dark eye, the right dark eye. And then now you know the model, the magnetic tilt of our planet is absolutely 100% reflective of that. So now we take the conditional environment of the human brain, where they have darkened the majority of the masses, denied them the intellectual ability to discern the spiritual truth by putting a detour or a roadblock from this connection between the right brain current and the observation of the left eye. The majority of the masses have been led by the idol shepherds into darkness, and now you see this angle is perfectly reflective, just as we go from the checkerboard, from here, and now the consistent consciousness of the planet is tilted in this direction. This is not done. I promise you, if you wait till the end of this, we're going to connect the chemtrails to this in a way that's going to blow your mind. And it will prove that the spirit of truth is real. And it will prove that I'm doing my best to convey to you guys the truth of the spirit of truth in the fullness. And the spirit has given me as much as I can possibly handle. But I need help. I can't do it by myself. I need you to now begin to muster the faith and courage to see and believe in this very same truth so that you can fulfill being one of the ones also. One of the ones which is the true disciples of Jesus Christ that are actually living the straight and narrow for real. They're not talking a bunch of BS, which is the cock and bull story, which is what all the arguing and the bickering and the accusing and the slandering is all about. No, that they're past that and they're seeing into the distance. They're finding that love. They're believing the reflection of the perfection of Jesus Christ cast upon the infinity of the distance of eternity. And when you begin to see that, all of these small, minuscule problems fall into the category of unconditional love, where we look past the faults from micro to macro, and we begin to see the beauty of it all of it. So there it is, friends. Now you know, if you watch, why the Illuminati use the left eye, their spiritual perception, our material perception. Okay? But if you put Jesus Christ on the cross, X marks the spot, then Jesus Christ will complete this current and even use and lend you his spiritual sight so that you can see all these beautiful, amazing connections that practically I don't think anybody in the world has ever known. The Spirit of Truth has been building up our consciousness to give it to us, so that those that had the power to receive these gifts would have that capacity to understand them, not just have them and then set it on the shelf in our room until we have the intellectual maturity to actually use those incredible books of truth that we couldn't read as our immature spiritual discernment didn't allow in our past. So the Father has actually given us the gift and expected us at the same time to raise our consciousness to understand the very gift that's been given. Well, for me, it happened. It happened. Just as Jesus promised and what I believed, it happened. And it can happen for you too. I promise you that. I absolutely promise you that. Okay, so now, let me look for my little square that it looks like I've misplaced here, and it's a part of the model. Okay. I don't need it to tell you what I'm going to tell you, though. Okay, just remember that I've got this square that I can detach, and I overlaid it here, and then I superimposed it here, and then I showed you that it was the model of the Earth right here, right? Okay? I didn't reveal to you yet that this was that path, that the Earth is now completely shifted towards this dark consciousness of reasoning, and it's reflective in the entirety of the Earth. Here comes a train. Man, one day I'll be free from this. But I'm not going to let it jar my emotions. Okay, I'm going to end up having to come back real fast, and I'm going to tie up what the chemtrails are doing and how it's going to fulfill itself with the deception of the consciousness. Hold on, this is an Amtrak. You guys have, some of you do have a good idea of the stuff that I try to overcome to do these videos, but when I was doing those 4-minute and some second videos, and I constantly had these trains going by interrupting it, and then I could never remember exactly what I said, and I had to restart and stop again and start again. That was absolute sheer just willpower of mine to overcome all that and keep doing those videos. I just put myself to the side and just powered through it. And man, I had many sleepless nights trying to deliver videos to you guys under those conditions till I could bring you to this point. And somehow I don't even know why my videos are long now, because I was unable to connect, but now I can connect and the videos are longer, and it almost seems like it's the right time because I can convey this truth to you guys in a much fuller manner, because I myself understand it, because you're giving more and more. Even what I understand today, tomorrow I'm going to understand it fuller. And then a week from now, I will accelerate incredibly with spiritual velocity of understanding. You guys can do this too. Okay? I'm not special. It's the Father that's special. It was just me that was somehow came to my own understanding that I was weak, that I was corrupt, that I was not able to fulfill the happiness of my own life. Somehow I figured that out early, and then that's when I saw God. And then God realized that I was sincere at the youngest of ages, and man, He has fulfilled every promise, everything that I've ever asked of Him. And He can do that for you too, and I know He does do that for you guys. I know that many of you guys are incredibly spiritually gifted also. I just would like you to, for those who are spiritually gifted, to use your gifts to help your brothers and sisters who are poor in the understanding of their gifts, so that we can bring them to the Spirit of Truth, and all of us can experience the glory of overcoming the deceiver. Okay? So now let's talk about chemtrails. All right? Now, if they're shifting our consciousness now towards this 23-degree tilt of perception, which is leaning towards the sacred feminine, right? And we know that this relates back to the earth being knocked in the past. Now, it's not a physical knocking, even though there is an event that is associated with the destruction of the knocking. But remember, what we're talking about is the shift of the magnetic field density, equational physiology of the planet is shifting. In other words, the consciousness. Okay, so it's not the actual true north but it is the magnetic portion of the planet which has shifted the entire consciousness or the entire spin, rotational leanings of the world. Just as it matches the checkerboard, and as I told you now, it matches the model of this brain, and then the fulfillment of the scripture of Zechariah 11:17. Okay, the division of knowledge. All right, well, it's playing out in the reality of the world. All right, now, they want you to, Jesus Christ is real. The Spirit is real. Jesus Christ says in his own words that thine were all mine. At one time, all flesh was his. They need you to forget Jesus Christ. Now, how they're going to get you to forget Jesus Christ is using this iron, this rod of iron that ends up being this anger, this wrath, this vengeance, okay? This very forceful doctrinal interpretation of law that now binds man in endless, meaningless tradition as supposed way to achieve some sort of favor in the eyes of God. And at the same time, this is laced with sacrifice of animals, sacrifice of humans, and then binding themselves to the pattern of the stars. That's not what Jesus Christ wants. Jesus Christ says you're actually free, and that if you understand the true understanding of the sun itself in the sky, as long as you're facing the sun, you yourself are in the perfect accord to see the light of truth in everything around you. You can understand the difference between the substance and the shadow. But as you turn your back to the sun, then no longer can you understand the fullness of the truth. And now yourself you're looking at the world through the light of your own shadow. Because the sun now is behind you, which is blocking or obscuring the light of truth. And then now you're looking into the direction of the cast of your own shadow. That's your ego. That's your ego. So you must turn back and face the truth of the sun in all things, which is Jesus Christ. It's instilled within the conditional environment around you guys. It's instilled that way. So they need you to forget Jesus Christ. They want you to turn your back on him. And they're eventually going to fulfill this. It started with the deception of the sons of God, looking so mighty, being so knowledgeable, and then they were the emissaries, the physical emissaries of God that could be seen. Well, of course, many people were deceived by their sights. So these sons of God were the very civilization of spiritual truth that was supposed to give the truth to mankind. Well, because they corrupted mankind and they corrupted themselves, now mankind is in a sense at the mercy of the seeds that they've sown. They want man to forget Jesus and make this new covenant with this angry, wrathful deity, which is justifying these wicked acts to achieve divinity and favor for his followers, which is really designed as a deception to achieve his dominion and total control over the material realm. So they're all being tricked to do what he wants. If they ultimately want you to get rid of Jesus in your mind, they can't get rid of Jesus himself. So they have to alter your perception. They have to alter your observation of Jesus Christ. And then at the same time, they have to alter that consciousness, which is connected from your sight to your brain to the seal. Okay, and that's what they've tried to alter. So by them trying to put Jesus Christ and kill him upon the material cross, that means that they've fulfilled the idea that they believe that Jesus was only a material man. But the notion that we have is that Jesus Christ fulfilled himself out of the material cross into the spiritual glory, and then he rose again on the third day. This is the fulfillment of the power that Jesus Christ had the entire time. But he only lowered himself from his fullness of divinity of the Father so that mankind could comprehend and perceive him, because mankind has no ability or grasp to perceive the infinity of the Father and his spirit glory. So the Father in his wisdom lowers the manifestation of Christ down into the physical form, and then gives Christ this character nobility that's more along the alignment of what the observation of man could perceive. Okay? So if they want you to forget Jesus, now look what's going on here with the chemtrails. We know now that the Earth, its magnetic field, is now tilting, and then it's the very same tilt of the dark eye. This affects the consciousness. mankind is now not even able to see correctly because his eye is darkened, and at the same time he's being blinded by this obscurity of brightness, which is reflecting off the material concepts of the world. So the eye of man is squinting. Okay, the illuminated have their eyes open to this blinding glare. Even though it causes them the pain that they think they must go through, the birth pains, they're still going to keep their eyes open. That means they're blinded by the light. So there's two types of blinding going here. Those that are blinded from no light, that are experiencing the shadow, that are squinting in the glare because of the fear of the light, and then these that are accepting the false fear or the false light as the truth, but really this light is reflecting off the material concepts, and now they think that this light is somehow binded with the truth as it's casting its angular glare, that they're keeping their eyes wide open. Okay? Well, in order to get everybody to forget Jesus, as I said, these sons of God became this iron that was upon the earth, right? And this iron was to be strong, which deceived man by the sights. And somehow they altered the course of reality, because that's really what they were here to do, but they were to alter it towards a spiritual direction. The iron represents metals. Chemtrails represent metals. If the chemtrails are being sprayed into the atmospheric conscious condition of the world, and then you know of Alzheimer's disease, which is supposedly caused by soft metals. So the soft metals within the human conditional psyche environment via the brain, the material environment, they cause forgetfulness. They cause a complete loss of identity. So the soft metals that are being introduced on the most micro of level are now reflective of the very same soft metals, the aluminum, the barium, the strontium, amongst many other things that are being introduced into the atmospheric condition of the world, which is now, guess what? It's you. These soft metals are being introduced into the environment of the world, which is now tilted to the same degree of consciousness perception as this model of the human head as it's imposed into the magnetic field density of the planet. It's happening to you also. These metals now, their chief goal is to make you forget. And they're doing this to enter into the brain wave pattern of man to begin to create this distortion of the Leviathans. Okay? Now, think about the metals in their fullness as these metals iron. Well, some of you are thinking, well, iron is not a soft iron. Iron is strong because iron sharpens iron. This iron ain't sharpening no iron. This iron rod judgment ain't sharpening no iron, because this iron has mixed itself with the murry clay. It's mixed itself with the murry clay. Here's where we're going to fulfill the fractal of the barium, the strontium, and the aluminum as being the soft metals that now represents the weakness of this iron, because it has mixed itself with the mortality, and this mortality itself is weak. The flesh is weak. So now the fulfillment of this iron rod as a locust, as it breaks through the seal, okay, and comes from the north, which now we know is the rising of the Kundalini serpent, which also represents the serpent tribe of Dan, who will come over the world and spread over the globe. Well, they're bringing this supposed iron rod, but you're going to perceive it as supposedly being a strong iron. Some of you will, and then the rest of us will know that it's really weak, because it's really mortal. It's not divine like they're going to want you to believe. Well, it's the very same conditional thing that they're hoping to achieve with the soft metals in our atmosphere, that is having an effect on the mental condition of the mind. The very same micro to macro repercussion of what's taking place with the human brain, human psyche, is the very same thing, the reflection of higher understanding, if you can see it, it's taking place on the world conditional environment. And now, as we see, it's beginning to alter the magnetic field consciousness, and which they're trying to flip the switch. Okay? They're trying to bring this thing into a point of observation that you'll see when I come back in the next video, that is highly advantageous to them only, and that will keep us absolutely blinded. In other words, total eclipse of the sun. That's what they're hoping. total eclipse of the sun, and that's what that song's all about. So the chemtrails are representative of soft metals who are trying to cause the forgetfulness of mankind. We see this being displayed on the micro as the Alzheimer's, that conditional change. Okay, we're forgetting what we know and who we are, and then it makes us go crazy, and that's the breaking of the sixth seal, which is the chaos that they're hoping to experience. We see that take place on the lowest level. Then you take it to the conditional environment and you look into the world, which I said is a model for the human head, and the exact same thing is happening. These metals are also a part of what's going to backfire on them because they're pumping it into the atmosphere for another reason, which is to alter the radiation that's going to be released into the atmosphere when these calamities happen, like what happened with Fukushima. There's going to be many power plants that go down, and these metals are also to help absorb the radiation so that they themselves can one day come back to this planet. Well, this is the stuff that will backfire on them as a result of their fire, which will really introduce itself into their brain, into their mind, because they were not sealed with the living God, the true living God. Whoa. Whoa. Chemtrails are the soft metals in the atmosphere, and now the sons of God are the soft metals that have fulfilled themselves in the material view of man. Both of them have the chief agenda to make you forget Jesus Christ, and then to make you, in their mind, susceptible to these fires, both on the physical, both on the spiritual, and both on the consciousness of understanding. But as we see, he who kills with the sword shall be killed with the sword. I'll be back.